I always give all his credit, no, but we need to run it back. That's why my tough. When after the fight, I say we need to run it back this fight because I don't feel the way I really want, and I need to make this fight happen again, no, and it's gonna be different. I think for him to deserve all the credit, he need to give me the rematch, obviously. But he decided to retire, and we need to accept that and move forward.
You know what? Sometimes you try and your body cannot go, right? That's my frustration. Maybe I can figure out Crawford, but my body cannot go anymore. So I try it, but my body just no let me go.
I have a burning question for you that I think everyone wants to know. Is there going to be a Canelo rematch? Is there a rematch clause? That's something you're thinking about?
I'm not even thinking about that right now. And quite frankly, I don't think it is a rematch clause. And if it is, nothing has been said to me about fighting him again or anything.
Do you think Canelo would want to get back in the ring with you? Or do you think it's better for him to just or more lucrative to go fight elsewhere for the rest of his career?
I think it would be better for him to fight somebody else because my style is just, a bad matchup for him. Now,
Terence Crawford is making his position absolutely crystal clear. Fresh off one of the most historic performances in modern boxing history, Crawford has zero interest in entertaining Canelo Alvarez's sudden flood of excuses. He has already proven beyond any doubt that he possesses the blueprint and the mental superiority to completely dismantle the Mexican superstar. This is not simply about protecting a legacy. This is about demanding the respect that his masterful performance rightfully earned him.
Once and for all.
Did you watch the Terence Crawford Canelo Alvarez fight?
Yeah, I did.
Whew, talk about slick. Oh my goodness. Who's ever done that? Who's ever jumped up 2 weight classes like that? It's crazy.
Scary.
He's so clever, and it got to the point where he got so comfortable, he's like pit-patting him, and then like, what?
Like,
you're
wow.
watching, like, this is amazing.
Like, that's history, obviously. You shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't be able to fight at that weight for the first time ever.
Against one of the greatest
greatest of all time, and do what you did. You're beyond an outlier. You're an anomaly.
What Terence Crawford accomplished that night was truly unthinkable. He moved up multiple weight classes to face a naturally much larger man in Saul Canelo Alvarez, and instead of running or simply surviving, he delivered an absolute masterclass. Crawford stood directly in front of the most feared puncher at super middleweight, deploying brilliant angles, razor-sharp counters, and defensive brilliance that left Canelo visibly frustrated and completely unable to solve the puzzle. And the most telling moment came immediately after the final bell. At the post-fight press conference, a humbled Canelo offered not a single excuse. He accepted the defeat with grace, openly admitted he could not figure Crawford out, and even stated publicly that Crawford was a better fighter than Floyd Mayweather. It was a moment of pure and undeniable respect.
And lastly for me, champ, in the world of comparisons that we live in right now, if you can, compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence Bud Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Fast forward just a few months, and that graceful acceptance has completely disappeared. Canelo has now broken his silence on the defeat, and the shift in narrative is so dramatic that even his most loyal fans are struggling to take it seriously. Suddenly, the story has changed entirely. His body mysteriously failed to respond on fight night. Severe leg cramps allegedly prevented him from executing his game plan. Newly revealed elbow injuries supposedly required post-fight surgery. And a sudden lack of mental focus has been thrown into the mix as well. The combat sports world is notoriously ruthless when it comes to backpedaling, and social media has shown absolutely no mercy. Boxing fans are already drawing direct comparisons between Canelo's excuses and Deontay Wilder's infamous post-Fury heavy costume claim. The dramatic switch in tone is jarring, especially from a fighter who built his entire reputation on never making excuses.
Does not exist.
He was given a lot of credit. There's no rehydration clause, blah, blah. Oh my God, Bud's such a fighter. I'm up here making the argument, see, no excuses. He doesn't need a Mayweather rehydration clause. But really, why did he do all that? Because if you want the shot, you got to do it according to Canelo's terms.
Yes.
He still beat Canelo comprehensively and decisively. In the rematch, Crawford would be within his rights to say, okay, wait a minute. Now there's going to be a rehydration clause. Now there are going to be some things that favor me. And once that happens, it's just going to get worse for Canelo.
I wouldn't like that for Crawford's legacy. I don't think I know, but his character.
If you were Canelo, if you were Crawford, like, I understand what you mean. I already proved my point the first time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you want the rematch? Okay, but now it's going to be on my conditions.
There should maybe different money terms. Say you want parity and money, which obviously never has been with Canelo, stuff like that.
See, that's my thing. You begging for this fight, and you go on these shows where he's
I don't
nice.
think he's begging for it either.
He's not begging.
I've never.
You know what? Shady loves to say that. Oh, why did Coventry? Why did you get into it with fighters? You know why? Because I interact with the fighters. Let's get Canelo here, and then you say this to Canelo.
You think I'm gonna get this thing? I don't care about none of that.
Listen, man.
And then you would think that get even stranger. Canelo is not simply explaining away the defeat. He is now outright demanding that Crawford owes him a rematch. During a recent podcast appearance, Canelo boldly declared that for Crawford to receive full credit for his victory, they must run it back. But here is the brutal reality of the business side. There was never a rematch clause in the original contract. Crawford deliberately chose not to include one, and even refused to add a rehydration limit, because he wanted Canelo at his very best with absolutely no asterisks attached to the victory. Now with Crawford having officially announced his retirement in December 2025, Canelo finds himself desperately searching for negotiating leverage that simply does not exist.
Don't got $100 million for me, don't even talk to me about it. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to hear. Basically, let me translate, because we know Crawford don't like to do too much trash talking. He likes to keep it clean. What Crawford is saying to Canelo, the price on your head for a rematch is $100 million because he already collected it last time. So is not going to go with the rematch. Talk is cheap. With Crawford being the A side, with Crawford getting the lion's share, with Crawford getting fair judges, mainly, Canelo is going to say, hell nah, to the no rematch. I'm telling you, he's going to start speaking English again. We haven't heard Canelo speak English for a minute now, I think. As soon as they show Canelo Alvarez the realistic terms on the contract for the rematch, he's going to wake up to reality.
You would think that a truly staggering sum of money would be enough to pull any retired fighter back through those ropes. But Terence Crawford is proving he is wired completely differently from everyone else. Behind the scenes, reports exploded that Saudi Arabia's Turki Al-Sheikh offered a rumored $100 million to lure Crawford out of retirement for a second fight with Canelo. For virtually every athlete on the planet, that kind of offer is an immediate and automatic yes. Crawford's response shocked the entire boxing industry. He said no, firmly and without hesitation. He made it crystal clear that he cannot simply be purchased, stating that his personal integrity and long-term values carry far more weight than any additional zeros in a bank account. He is one of the rarest superstars in sports, a man who genuinely cannot be bought.
Stops. Because boxing is not all about knocking somebody out. Yes, that's part of it. That can happen, but boxing is a sport where you can outpoint somebody too. That's why they go to the scorecard.
I appreciate that take, bro. That's real educated, man, real thoughtful. But you ain't had a decision win in a long time, bro. You known for like being a great finisher. So I appreciate that. But that ain't how you moving though.
Right.
Please explain that to me. You just saying overall.
Yeah, overall.
You say, hey, I like to do this, but this is not for everybody.
It's definitely not, because it's a price to pay. It's definitely a price to pay when you fight those type of fights.
Yeah.
When everybody thinks nothing going on. Yeah. But all them punches add up.
Yeah, buddy.
All them punches add up.
He ain't got a bruise or nothing.
Yeah.
He didn't take no punishments. Like, bro, my head hurt.
Your head hurt.
I'm in this room right now trying to get right, and y'all chilling, partying downstairs.
Yeah. Like all them punches add up. Punches in sparring add up. All them punches add up, and when one is good one day, and then it just all hit him out of the blue. He ain't even boxing no more, it just hit him. And then people be like, man, you all right, man? What's wrong with you?
You never know when that's gonna happen.
You never know. It's gonna come.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Long enough. Yeah.
And it's just like, dang. You know what I mean? Is you all right? Yeah, I'm good. You might start slurring a little bit. You might start forgetting a lot of things. Yeah. You might get a little dementia. You might keep repeating the same thing over and over. you know, and you don't even know it, you know. But that's from all that accumulation of punches to the brain.
But I know you probably have too, I done been in the presence of fighters, bro, where that stuff is happening. And I'm like, where they say something to you and they just told you 2-3 minutes earlier, you like, brother, you just said that.
Definitely.
That's scary to me.
Definitely.
That's scary to me.
I look at all
The real reason Crawford is turning his back on a life-changing fortune is far darker than most people realize, and it is rarely discussed openly in the glamorous world of professional boxing. Crawford himself revealed that the 36 minutes inside the ring with Canelo is not what concerns him. The true nightmare is the physical devastation his body must absorb during a grueling, high-level training camp. Months of breaking his body down to its absolute limits, pushing through pain barriers just to prepare for a naturally bigger and stronger opponent that is a permanent and irreversible tax on his long-term health. Crawford is thinking far beyond the payday. He is choosing a pain-free life with his family over a quick financial windfall that could leave him carrying serious physical damage long after the crowd stops cheering.
I have a burning question for you that I think everyone wants to know. Is there going to be a Canelo rematch? Is there a rematch clause? That's something you're thinking about?
I'm not even thinking about that right now. And quite frankly, I don't think it is a rematch clause. And if it is, nothing has been said to me about fighting him again or anything.
Do you think Canelo would want to get back in the ring with you, or do you think it's better for him to just kind of, or more lucrative to go fight elsewhere for the rest of his career?
I think it would be better for him to fight somebody else, because my style is just, you know, a bad matchup for him. Now, financially wise, I would be like, yeah, he should fight me. But like on the outside looking in, knowing boxing, you can really get hurt. So I would just tell him, like, if you're gonna continue to fight, I'm getting rid with a guy like me.
Yeah, there's a popular adage in sports, kind of gets reused over again. It's kind of cliche, Father Time is undefeated. 38 years old, we see a lot of athletes now go into their late 30s and 40s and produce at a high level. How much longer do you want to do this?
I don't know.
No clue yet? Did beating Canelo make you think about those next steps in any way, or?
Before Canelo, I was thinking about a lot, you know, and I'm still thinking about a lot. I just haven't made my final decision. But once I make it, I'm going to make it, you know, and I'm going to make it here soon.
Rather than being pulled into a messy and draining media war, Crawford has deployed the most powerful public relations strategy available to him: weaponized silence. While Canelo makes the rounds from podcast to podcast airing his grievances and rewriting history, Crawford has refused to acknowledge a single word of it. And that deafening silence is driving his critics absolutely mad, because it gives them absolutely nothing to grab onto. After his historic victory, Crawford stood before the crowd and asked one simple question: what more can they say now? That quote has aged perfectly. By refusing to take the bait, Crawford effortlessly holds the high ground, allowing his unanimous decision masterpiece to speak for itself while Canelo is left shadowboxing his own insecurities.
Potential trap.
I would love to see the rematch. I think in the rematch, if he comes back with the hunger that he needs, he could beat Crawford. Because Crawford, you know, is very talented, but I think Canelo could beat him. Canelo's strong, man. Canelo's strong. Canelo could take a good punch. So I think he could just go and don't respect his punch and throw punches even though you're gonna get hit. But don't give up. Keep going until you hit him. I think rematch with Canelo would be the best thing for him to do.
Beneath all the surface-level drama, there is a very real and deeply unsettling fear growing among hardcore boxing fans, and it goes a long way toward justifying Crawford's decision to stay retired. Across boxing forums and social media, fans are pointing directly at the dangerous underground politics that govern this sport. Canelo remains the sport's biggest financial asset and is now launching his own promotional company. Many believe that if Crawford agreed to return, the entire boxing establishment would mobilize to ensure their golden goose gets his revenge. Fans are genuinely concerned that regardless of how dominant Crawford's performance might be in a second fight, the judges' scorecards could easily be manipulated to protect Canelo's commercial value. There is simply no logical reason for Terence Crawford to walk willingly into that kind of potential
trap. In 2026, and my only question is why? Why? Outside of a massive payday, the first fight wasn't necessarily a competitive fight, and if they do it again, I think it's going to be less competitive. I don't think this is going to go very well. For one, Saul Canelo Alvarez.
But what if Crawford does walk back through those doors and agrees to a rematch in 2026? There is no question it would be one of the biggest fights boxing has seen in years. But the experts are already sounding the alarm, and they believe it would end in disaster for Canelo. The first fight was never particularly close, with Crawford controlling and dominating large portions of the contest. And analysts who have studied the matchup closely believe a second encounter would go even worse for the Mexican superstar.
Feeding Canelo. I don't know how this goes well for Canelo in a rematch. Honestly, you look at the first fight, and the things that plagued Canelo were essentially the things that plague him against most boxers. His flat feet, his lack of movement, his lack of volume. He couldn't get to Terence. He was overextending. He was getting caught with counter shots as he overextended. The big shown around, memed, and replayed moment of the fight is Canelo trying to throw a hook and a right hand, and Terence Crawford slipping on the outside and banging the left hand counter behind it. Canelo was beaten to the punch from distance. He was beaten in exchanges, and even in points in the fight, he was beaten inside by Terence Crawford. This was I wouldn't say dominant, but I would say more one-sided than I thought win for Terence Crawford, where he flat out outboxed Canelo, and he took Canelo's power. Like, there were times where Canelo landed the big right hand, and Terence Crawford took it. So what would be different if they fought again? The only different thing that potentially could happen would be in Canelo's hands. He would have to find ways to be different, and as much as I would love to believe that's possible, Canelo getting up there in age, I understand Terence Crawford is older, but Terence Crawford already fights at a way that's advantageous versus Canelo. He doesn't really have to change much, and he's fighting up a couple of weight classes from where he normally did, so he doesn't have to really worry about a weight cut either, and he's filled into that weight class because he looked just as big, if not bigger, that Canelo Alvarez did on fight night. So the question is,
Wade explained. Analysts went straight to the heart of the matter, pointing out that Canelo repeats the same fundamental mistakes regardless of who stands across from him in the ring. His flat-footedness, his lack of lateral movement, and his low punch output are recurring patterns that have followed him throughout his career. Every single one of those flaws was exposed and ruthlessly exploited in the first Crawford fight. Experts believe Canelo has enormous work to do inside the gym before he should even consider putting pen to paper on a rematch contract. Crawford, by contrast, simply needs to show up, because he already owns the complete blueprint for defeating Saul Alvarez.
Realistically think Canelo could and should and would do differently for this fight is he would have to fight Terence Crawford like he fought Sergey Kovalev at 175. That's genuinely what he would have to do. He'd have to be lighter on his feet, he'd have to throw more combinations, and he'd have to be quicker with his hands, as he was in that fight. And I'm not saying that he changes everything about himself. Canelo had success in moments with Bud Crawford, but that's what he would have to do, and some, right? He would have to be able to add layers to his game and not be so flat-footed. And if he's going to combination punch, he's got to do so in the fire with Terence Crawford, which going into the first fight, I didn't think Terence Crawford was going to have as much success with his combination punching because he'd have to be in front of the powerful hands of Canelo. But again, he was able to do so off the back foot and front because Canelo threw one at a time. He threw the jab or the right hand, or he threw the hook right hand. And again, Terence Crawford remained mostly southpaw, which does give Canelo problems because now he has to lead with his backhand versus punctuate with it. And his jab gets neutralized, and it's just a mess of a fight for Canelo. It really is. I don't hate that he wants to get that back. And the matchup itself is, again, one of the only ones that Canelo can still have. Make a shit ton of money and potentially not completely kill his star.
And even so, with all the adjustments in the world, analysts remain unconvinced that Canelo stands a realistic chance in a rematch. The verdict from those who study the sport most closely is consistent and unambiguous. Crawford's style is simply a nightmare matchup for Canelo Alvarez, and a second fight would likely produce an even more one-sided result. The honest advice from many corners of the boxing world is the same. Move on, protect your legacy, and do not walk back into that fire.
The first time he saw him, and maybe you could say, listen, Canelo just needed to see him one time to figure out that puzzle, right? He figured out Triple G, was able to re-implement it in the rematch, and then the third fight, it was not even a great fight. Canelo just did what he wanted. But this is not the case, I don't think, with Crawford. I think Crawford just has a style that is really, really tough for Canelo, and I'll be honest, if they fought again, it would be more dominant for Terence Crawford. I truly think if in 2026 they book this rematch, I think Crawford dominates him even worse. And I'm not saying he stops Canelo because I don't know if that's something that Terence could get at 168 because Canelo's chin has still really never been tested like that. Like, he didn't really get hurt in the Crawford fight. He just got outboxed. But maybe he potentially would be able to stop him. But I just think it would be more one-sided than we saw in the first fight and would just reestablish that Terence Crawford is that fucking guy in this sport right now. The top guy, the head honcho in this sport, which is, I don't know. I mean, is it dangerous to Canelo's legacy tendency to lose to the best of this era and the best of the era previously? I don't know. Like, did Canelo ever have an era where he was the best in the world? Maybe that's the question he's still trying to answer himself, and why he would want this rematch with Crawford. But when I see this news coming out of him wanting the rematch, having the elbow surgery, maybe in his mind going, okay, my elbow wasn't fresh, I wasn't able to turn my shots over, so that's why I can win this rematch. I like the competitive nature of it. I don't like the fight for him. I think the matchup's all wrong for Canelo. I think this style of fight, in terms of what Terence Crawford does well, is counterpunching off the front and back foot, his ability to go from range with his jab, be inside with it too, protect himself, catch counter with punches. He's got just a different timing that Canelo really has on his punches, and then you pair it with the volume that Terence Crawford can throw, and his feet, and his angles. This is the bad match.
Ultimately,
Terence Crawford has executed the perfect checkmate. He climbed the mountain, defeated the giant, secured generational wealth, and walked away with his legacy completely and undeniably intact. He is living proof that sometimes the most powerful move a champion can make is simply walking away and leaving his rival to battle his own demons in public. Now we want to hear from you. Is Canelo destroying his own legendary legacy with these late excuses? Or does Crawford genuinely owe the boxing world one final rematch? Drop your answer in the comments below. We read every single one. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest boxing content. Until next time, peace.